Hello.
Yeah,
Hello,
somehow the
everyone.
video is, yeah, hello.
Hello. I'm Priyanka Jankar, and I'm going to be your today's moderator for today's webinar. Hello. Are you able to hear me, guys? I'm also the program associate for digital marketing program at Amity University. Today with us, we have Siddharth Saxena. Siddharth is a deputy general manager, product management at yatra.com. Yatra.com is a leading Indian online travel agency and travel search engine popularly used for flight booking, hotel booking, holidays, trains, buses, etc. Coming back to Siddharth's profile, he is a product development and technical management expert with 10 years of experience in organizations like Transweb Global, and he also has an expertise in different domains like operating system, internet, web, physics, algorithms, user behavior, and psychology. Some tools and skills that possess are SQL, Google Analytics, Google Webmaster, SEO, web management, and optimization. Without taking further time in the session, let me ask Siddharth to take over the session. Over to you, Siddharth.
Thank you, Priyanka, for the introduction. And hello, everyone. I see there has been a ping from a couple of people that probably you were way too fast, and I'll try to be as slow as possible. I have already got a lot of questions from many of you, and let's try to cover them first before we can move to a special Q&A session. So Priyanka, shall I go ahead and answer the questions? Probably the ones which you have already shared me.
Yes, sure. Please
Okay,
go
so
ahead.
yeah, sure. I have a question. Question number one I would want to pick is need to know the concept of load balancing and API. Uh, so yeah, so I mean, I see there are a lot of questions around the technology side. I'm assuming people here are, some maybe some engineers, or maybe some of the people who are, who understand how computers work. So I'll try to be as relevant to the course as much as possible and answer that. So load balancing, let's pick load balancing first. Load balancing, in a nutshell, is a way to so let's say there is a server and client. You understand that, I'm sure, after this course. So whenever traffic is redirected to server, there can be a scenario in which there are a lot of people accessing the website at the same time. And consider an example of IRCTC, right? And a website which is specialized in train booking definitely gets a lot of traffic at the tatkal hours. So what do you do when there are so every system has a capability based on the hardware compatibility. You can provide traffic or the data or the services to a very limited set of people. So this is where the load balancing comes into a picture. What you do is you distribute the traffic which comes to your own single server through a pool of multiple servers known as server farm or probably a server pool. This is what it does. Imagine this case. Let's say uh, Sarika, who is active on chat, I can see Sarika is accessing, trying to connect with me with a message saying, "Hello, I think someone muted me. Hello, am I audible here?"
Yes, you're audible.
Yes,
Okay.
we can.
Yeah. So
Yes, yes.
let's say I am on my side, I'm a server, and if Sarika tries to access a question to me, she sends a request. Let's say my capability of answering this question is only one, but I can build a system around me, which is like maybe Sarika can ask me one question. There can be multiple people who are asking me multiple questions at the same time. And what load balancer does, it equally routes the traffic to the multiple replicas that I have at the backend. so that the data which comes from a centralized server, which is my answer, can be routed to each one of you separately. This is a I mean fairly simple, the most simple version of the example. Consider another example. Okay, you see Wikipedia, right? I have a backend content page of say Amity. This Amity content is now cached into one server. What does it mean? It means that the content is now saved from a localized content point of view. It is not driven by the server every time. It is saved to one cache system, and there are multiple cache system available for the same request, for the same response, that is the Amity content, across multiple cache servers. Now there are 10 people who are trying to access the same thing, while the capability of one of the caching server is only 2. So what can be done is, at the same time, if there are 4, only 8 people can get the access to the same data. While had there been no caching servers or no load balancing systems in place, I could have only been able to serve only 2 people. That's the larger framework of how load balancers work. You can take a note of all the things that you want to probably ask. Let's move to the other part of the question, which is API. See, every interaction that you guys do on an internet as of today is through API. Let's say you browse a website of google.com. Let's say you browse a website facebook.com. What you do in a single channel is nothing but a interaction with the backend server through an API call. So I'll just try to, if you guys, can I share my screen here if I would want to demonstrate something to them? I can, yeah. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Not yet.
I see this application isn't working. The button, it's getting clicked, but I think I cannot share the screen. Okay, I'll just be as descriptive as much possible. So yeah, I see a lot of responses saying no. Okay, let's try to open google.com. We already know how to, how to search. What you do is you search for Amity, and you get all the results which talk about or tell you about Amity. This is not a simple looking page which is fetched from background. At the background, you tell it to the Google servers that, hey, I need something relevant to Amity. The Google servers then collate all the results and send it back to you. The response that you see is now structured in an HTML format. But these interactions go through multiple channels. When you search for Google, it goes into their caching server. It goes into their all the data that they have cached for the entire internet. All these interactions happen over an API. So if I go by the definition, API stands for the application programming interface through which multiple software applications can talk to each other. Let's say if you would want me to, give you some, when you search for Amity, give you some of the students' names. I would not probably prefer to give you the credentials of the database, right? So what would I do? I would rather give you an API which would have a specific key which is only accessible by you because I have provided you the authentication. When you access the same API with the key and with your input parameters that I need 10 people who are Amity online students, my system gets to know that there is a request which is coming, which is having Amity, the correct authentication key, and as well as the sizing of 10. The system now then sends the request back to the database, and it eventually serves the content to you. By this way, I have designed an API which can interact with you or probably multiple other software systems who need my result dynamically, and they don't really need to access my core backend system. This is what an API does. So anything that you see on a yatra.com or any other global website, the results which come of flights or the e-commerce website which show you all the mobile phones, any interaction that you see is definitely through an API backend. Okay, I am just trying to share my screen again. I think you guys can share my see my screen, right?
Yeah, we can see it now. Perfect.
Okay, let's try to open yatra.com. Okay, let's say if I search a flight which is from Delhi to Mumbai for 29th of May. And it shows me the result. What happens in the background? Let me be more specific to the, to the entire interaction that you just saw. Okay, here's the result. In this, you see multiple airlines being listed. If you notice the URL, it says air search UI DOM2 trigger. These variables may have a meaning, may not have a meaning, but the background, what you see is sorry, on the last side, what you see is type O, name equals normal, flexi, number of segments. All these are parameters which are then sent to the backend of the servers through an API call. This page sends a request at the backend to the backend API, which is having these parameters as my date, my adult and children count, the class of the service, and all those things. And it in turn gives you the response. So now server gets the request from the web page saying that I need the airline from all the list of airlines from New Delhi to Mumbai for 29th of May, and for one adult for economy class. These are the 4 parameters. They don't directly hit to your database. They don't make a query there. What it does is directly sends a request to the API, and hence you see all the responses back. This is what an API means.
Sorry, the screen sharing ended.
Yeah, I did end.
Okay.
That's a typical interaction. So I mean, we can come back to the specific questions. I'm sure people are noting if they have any any such doubts or something. I'll be happy to answer all those. Now let's move on to the next question, which is bootstrapped CDN. May I know who just asked to ask for these? I mean, anyone in your group who understands CDN? I did speak about it in the entire video. I'm sure some of you would have a prior knowledge about how what a CDN is, and how a CDN works. Okay, so yeah, assuming people do understand some bit of it, let's try to complete it for now. So CDNs are nothing but no, it's not Acrobat. okay, let's try to cover what CDN means. So CDN is a very simple, in a very simple language, a content delivery network. That's the full form. But how it works is exactly its literal meaning. Take an example. Okay, the same one in which I just entered into the yatra.com website and I searched for a flight. On the flight side, you see a lot of pages. Let's try to debug for you guys. Okay. Can you guys see my screen again? I'll just do it right in front of you. Yeah, I think you guys can see. So this is the same page which we just searched for. Let's try to go to the bit of coding side and see how all the requests and responses get loaded into the server onto your web page. Sorry. Yeah. So when I search for a web page, these are all the interactions which are happening right behind your page, which is getting loaded. So it's a pretty complex structure. You don't need to worry about all of those. Let's try to find out some of the informations which are served to you by a CDN. That's what I am trying to search for. So okay, let's see some images. Probably a lot of this content is already cached. Let's try again once for more. Okay. Let me try out with hotels. I think here you would get, okay, this is a hotel image, right? Let's try to reload this image. Correct. Okay. So here's an example. This image which you just saw on your on the Yatra's hotel result page is of Park Mumbai, but this is not stored on this URL or probably directly at yatra.com. It is coming from a very different location. When I directly open this image on the browser, it shows me a lot of details. Anyone can go and debug that. What you see here is server Cloudinary. I'm sure you would be able to see that. Cloudinary is a third-party company which sorry, I think you guys missed this part. So I just tried to open the first image. Can you see? Yeah, you can. The first image is now served from which location is something which I'm trying to address. Here you see the server information is Cloudinary, right? Cloudinary is a third-party organization or a company or a website which helps you organize your images and assets. So what is happening here? What is happening here? When I search for a hotel, the page tells me some hotel name, and the image is now being served from Cloudinary. So I'll tell you the purpose behind it. Let's say you are some of you guys would be in different cities across India, while I might be in a very different region altogether, or maybe one of your student can be in US, right? A content delivery network tries to create replicas of the same content across the globe. So this image, when someone tries to access from Mumbai, might get it pretty quickly because maybe the servers are also in Mumbai. But a person who is accessing the same image from America might take a couple of more seconds or maybe milliseconds. That's a delay. To optimize this, what organizations do is they create replicas of the same content across the globe. The image that you just saw is coming from a third-party server. That third party is specialized in creating replicas. You might want to go and read about Cloudinary for that matter. They create replicas of the same image or the same asset across the globe, so that whosoever is requesting for that image, the content can be served by the nearest possible location. While the URL and everything remains same, the content gets served from the nearest possible location. So, there might be a Cloudinary server which is in America. If someone is accessing the image from America, why not serve same copy of image to the same guy in the quickest possible time? This is what a CDN does. The second part of the question was, what is a bootstrap CDN? So, going into much deeper detail would be part of not part of this this module, but in a nutshell, Bootstrap is an open source library which helps you design web pages basis the predefined assets of JavaScript and CSS. That's too technical, I understand, but on the same side, a JavaScript and a CSS are the baseline for a web page display. And there are a lot of open source modules which are available today, while Bootstrap is one of them, which people use to create their web pages. They're nicely looking front end web pages, and when I say nice, it literally means responsive web pages and designs which adapt to your browser resolution, your desktop resolution, which I will cover in a subsequent question which is about to come. So this is what Bootstrap does, and Bootstrap CDN is again a free CDN service provided by the same group of people, so that you can optimize your content delivery. That's the whole purpose. Okay. Coming to the question, what is the main language or platforms for web design? There is no language which is used for web design. Web design goes as complex. In today's world, the web which was designed in early 90s or 2000 was a website which was just a pure simple HTML. It had no styling back then, but gradually the styling happened, and today we are way above Web 2.0, 3.0, in which you have an entire an application running on your browser. The web page which you see right now, which is your big blue button module for your. So the background can be anything. After all, it is rendered in HTML.
I'm sorry, Siddharth.
But
the audio is not
designing
clear.
can happen. Yeah, sorry.
The audio is not clear. It's
Okay.
Actually getting stuck.
Or did you guys lose me? Am I
No,
audible
no.
now? I'm sure the
Yeah, now
connectivity
you're
here is
better.
fine.
Now you're better. Much better, much better.
Oh, again on the web design part. So, I mean, web design has evolved since 90s pretty much, wherein your simple, neat-looking UI, which was only HTML, is now a screen which you see on your desktop right now. It is not just a web page. It is more of an application which is having real-time interactions. Okay, I sort of people. Let me disconnect the screen. Okay, am I better now? Okay, perfect. So maybe I was sharing a screen and that was the load. Right. So what I was talking about is web design. The web design has evolved. The thing that you see right now is also a layout. It is, I mean, it is not just a simple looking HTML page. It is having live interactions. The page itself is sending the visuals and audio to you. That's more of a very complex structure. But how do you design them? I'm sure if that's the question, they can be any tool. You don't really need to have a backend. So you design your wireframes and modules in maybe a Photoshop or a or some other Adobe Illustrator type kind of tool for your graphic designing. The actual design and layout has to be in HTML. So that's the core language for your web design. Uh, the page itself can be binded into by multiple JavaScript and libraries like we just spoke, which was Bootstrap. Is it clear now? Yeah, yeah. So those libraries help you, so let's say this is a page which you are just seeing while we are talking. This is a page which is having left library of chat. Your chat is a live interaction. It is not so that the HTML is immediately changing. That's most likely an AJAX query. You might want to read about that on a later site. It's for your it's nothing related to this module, but I just posted it. So what AJAX is, it's asynchronous JavaScript and XML, which is talking to your backend server, sending something from the web page to your backend server while responding, while spreading it to all your systems. That's how AJAX works while your page is not getting loaded. So web design can be done by multiple libraries, but the baseline is of course your CSS, HTML, and JavaScript as of today. These are the core engines which build your web page. The question next is, why is background image important for a website? No, it's not important. I'm sure we have. I can build a web page which is not having any image. It's not important at all. But it entirely depends on the purpose that you have. If you have a web page without a logo or if you have a website talking about your resort, you are it would be better if you have an image of the property at the background. So this is how it is. It's not at all necessary to have a background image for a website. It can be a pure text play, a 2-line of code saying that this is my website is qualifies to be a correct website, and maybe it's serving the purpose also. I'll just give you an example. I'll just ping the URL. So search for this website, which is called a $1 billion website or a $1 billion homepage. It's a pretty interesting web page. You might want to visit. I'm just pinging the URL to you guys. Now, Okay. I guess they have changed their layout a lot. So probably, I mean, they have redesigned their website and it's not working. But $1 billion web page is a website which is filled only with the images. So that's the only website which has images of the brands and like maybe some other companies which pay for. I guess someone is not on mute. I hear a lot of noise. Okay, I incorrectly sent you the incorrect homepage. Here's the one. I'm so sorry. This is $1 million. I said it $1 billion. But if you see this website, it is nothing but a collection of images on the foreground as well as on the background. So it's not at all necessary to have a background image for a website, and it's I mean, both are completely different topics to relate to each other. A website can have a or may not have a background image. What is the difference between responsive design and non-responsive design on the website? Please share a real-world example. Is the next question. The only difference in a pretty simple language is a responsive design adapts to the resolution of your device. A website. So I'll just try to give an example to you. Let me share my screen again. Okay. Yeah, you see the website, right? This is a pretty standard layout, but if I change its sizing, you see the layout of the page changes, right? It adapts. If you can see the interaction right here, that literally means the web page is responsive in nature. It responds to the resolution that I set. Okay, on the right corner, you see the resolution for I mean, it comes and goes. So if I set it for some 600 by 600, this is how it would look. If I shrink it more to resemble a mobile layout, this is how it would look on a mobile, I mean, a resolution which is mimicking a mobile device. This is what a responsive layout means. I'm sure this is what the question intended to. Let's move to the next one. Can you share some examples which relate to bad designing of a website? Looking for names of website and reason behind it being bad. I would say the question, is little biased. When you say bad, it literally means, I mean, it more moves to a personal choice. So for a website can be bad for me, but might not be for you. So let's look at this web page only, which is being shared. This looks pretty bad to me because it hides trains completely, or maybe it doesn't show me anything else. Maybe a couple of more things. I don't like the font. Bad web, there's no such definition of a bad web design. If your targeted customers are not able to understand what your brand literally means, you can term that as a bad website. But usually, not everything on the web page is bad. They can be. So let's move on to some government websites. Okay, let's move to transport department, which is of the government of India. I recently accessed this website, completely different layout, but I'm sure for now it's readable. Let's move to a different section. Let's say I want some services which is related to, some driving license related services. Okay. A slow loading page can also be a part considered as a bad design because the content might not be. No, this is literally a page which shows me Ministry of Road and Transport Highways, Transport and Highways, Government of India, and I don't see a need for the image here. There is nothing on the page except online services. You need to select a state. I select a state, and the page redirects again. The today's world doesn't even need to do that. You can change your state and you can probably see a very responsive content, or maybe without even the page load. Now here I see some content. Uh, let's move on to the some other section. Okay, pretty simple page, tells me what to do, select the states and code. So completely, it's completely person to person. For someone, this might be a bad looking design. Some might not like the shadow behind in association with Transport Department, Government of India. That's a simple line. Why to keep a shadow behind it? So there is no such definition as a bad web design. But okay, this page, if you would open on your on a web page, it shows app num search. Let me try to okay, someone has asked me for the good example of this website, or I'm sure you're asking for good website example. What is a good example? Let's move to some website which are not so popular. Which one?
No, I was just saying that the Ministry of Road Transport is a good example of a bad website.
Okay. Uh, yeah. So it's a bad looking website, but to be very frank, I mean, it serves the purpose of for people. This might be good as well. Yeah, it's a relative term.
Although reducing the quality of website in terms of animation and graphics, does that increase the possible speed of interactivity?
Absolutely.
It does.
Let's
Okay.
let's double click that.
Okay.
Let's double click that. Yeah. So you remember the web page which I just showed you, which was Yatra's homepage. Sorry, the hotel results page. Let me go to the same page again. I'll just show you how literally all these things which we just talked about come into action, and you make your web page look much neater, faster. So we search for Mumbai for the same search criteria. I'm doing that again. Okay. Yeah, same hotel. I'm sure you are able to see the Park Mumbai, which is having a bedroom image, right? Let's double click on it. I might have to change the sharing mode. Okay, I'm now sharing the entire window. Can you guys see the complete screen? Yes, I'm sure you do. The Park Mumbai Hotel, we just saw it. The first result is having this background image. Let me open it in a new, yeah, it's a new URL, new page. This is where the image gets loaded. But what you see is an image of a smaller size. It's a 256 by 234 resolution, pixel resolution image. It's a very small image, but it is not a very small image when it is uploaded to the server. The real image is this. That's a big image, a much more of a higher resolution. This is what the image looks like. So what is happening here? The web page, the web page that you see right now, your search results page. The purpose of this page is to filter out which hotel you would want to, at least browse further. There is no, intent of a user to understand all the images and everything in detail. While we do have an action button there, but the purpose is not that. It's probably a relative pricing, couple of relative features, and maybe filter down to the hotel that you like. There is no need of loading this entire image, which is of a very high resolution, onto your web page. And if all those such images get loaded, the page will, this image itself took around 3-4 seconds to load. If there are 50 such hotels, imagine the time it would take. So what you did is, what Yatra or companies like Yatra generally do is they optimize this image. They optimize this image. The same image is now uploaded to the server with a very different sizing, and it is served on the SRP so that the page gets loaded faster. Well, when I browse through the same hotel, then it fetches the content again and gets the higher resolution image. So this is what impacts the customer experience, and it's a part of probably a good design standard. Okay, so yeah, let's move to the next question. Is it necessary to be tech savvy to design a website? Uh, as a definite answer, no. You don't need to be tech savvy, because tech savvy as a definition is itself very unclear. But if you do understand a bit of technology on the front end side, it's very easier for you to maybe understand how components are working and how can I better this design. What is grid system? Okay, in this web page itself, which you see for the for your video conference, the web page is arranged into multiple horizontal and vertical lines. The left section talks about the names of everyone. The middle one is the chat. The right one is the screen. So this is a typical grid which is arranged into 3 vertical columns, while there are multiple rows within each column. So I mean, this is how you design a structure when you are building a web page on your Photoshop or your maybe some other tool, maybe Paint for that matter. You probably arrange your entire module into some vertical and horizontal lines so that the alignment can be right. And this is there on your mobile device cameras as well. If someone uses a camera which is native to Google, you might find an option as turn on grid or arrange my home screen into a 3x3 or 4x4 grid. This is a typical arrangement of these different components of a web page. Okay, augmented reality and virtual reality technologies. Do they count in digital products? Yeah, they do. So let's search for the Park Mumbai. Okay, let me share you the screen again. Yeah. If I search for Park Mumbai on Google, I get this hotel right here. I'm not sure if the screen is visible to you guys, but let me try. Google Street View has, I'm sure people have used it. Google Street View is a typical example of your augmented reality. You see the space right there, you know, on your handheld device, and maybe navigate further. And this is something you should. That's a digital product. So let me type it for you. Google Street View is a typical example of a digital product. What you see here is a you know, a camera view. Let me move to some other section. Let me go to Florida. Guys, if you understand that, you should be free to you know, ping. It would save time eventually for others. But while I'm here, let me browse through. On this web page, you see a small icon on the right, which is a man in yellow. And if I drop it to Orlando, it takes me to the street view. This is a very smaller but a typical example of how augmented reality works. It's nothing but an image, a 360 image, which is giving me the visuals of how this aquarium in Orlando would look like. Okay, so now, yeah, let's move to the another question. What are interaction designs? Can you give few examples? Okay, I can. So let me open some tool for you. Let me try to share my screen here. Okay. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Not yet. Siddharth, I have a question.
Yeah, sure, please.
So just a question out there. What is the future of websites or web browsing, basically, when people are resorting to social media and applications to serve their purpose a lot more than actually going to a website? In a way, right now, before I think about a website, sometimes I think about seeing if they have an Instagram page or maybe an application to serve their product or, you know, service or whatever it might be. What do you think the future of websites is in that case?
See, if you limit yourself to the standard definition of what a website literally means, then probably I see web everywhere. And
Right.
A device which is on my wrist, which is my smartwatch, has access to the complete Android architecture, and I can get all the responses and information which I seek, you know.
Mhm.
So in a similar way, apps also are nothing but software applications installed on your device. While we do have software applications in place, we see progressive web apps, which are the applications which are not installed, but they do work like app. There are things like instant apps, which Google is now promoting. So all these things are a typical or a more evolved example of how a website looks and works. And at the same time, this is going to... Yeah, go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, sorry. No, that I completely understand. What I'm saying is, like, let's say now as a digital marketing or business, I am going to, I mean, like, let's say I'm talking about future, maybe 10 years from now, where let's say augmented reality becomes a highly used product in almost a lot of applications, including shopping applications, where you're able to see your product firsthand, maybe on a 3D model or something like that, where something like this cannot be displayed well enough on a website or fast enough, whereas an application has better chances of displaying it better. Would this eventually make websites comparatively less used or eventually obsolete in some way? Because, like you're saying, everything else is connected to the internet now, and as much as a website is like a home page or like a HQ of a company where people actually go to, see the, like, it's like an office, I feel. But do you think eventually websites will not be necessary on some level?
Yeah, so this is what I just said. If you limit yourself to the definition of what a website is, and limit itself to a typical HTML website that you see on your desktop or your mobile device, your answer is yes. Answer to your question is yes. But I see it in a very different perspective, where I see when you try and access the same shopping website through an augmented reality layer, and get access or experience the same thing on your handheld device, I would want to term it as again an internet-based application, and that's what a website is. Also, you would eventually evolve. So its backend is still connected to the same servers, serving the same content. It's just that when you are accessing the same thing on a device,
it's through a different medium.
It's through a different medium. It's through a different hardware that's more capable of delivering the same experience, right? If I wear something on my eye, and I see some visuals of the same street view, I am into a very immersive experience that's called virtual reality, right? I see virtually the entire world, but it's a different medium to access, while the content remains same. So the delivery, the medium enhances my experience, but I would say it's nothing but a website, which is more evolved. Okay. On that note, see here it goes. Mobile applications, when they are utilities like camera, like games, they are there and gonna be, gonna stay for long. But if you really see the websites which I wrote, Progressive Web App, try to read about that. Things like Google Instant Apps, you would get a feel of why organizations are now going away from dependencies on applications. When we started the computers, these were the operating systems were a software installed on your device, and then we used to get a release of updated version, and then you need to install it. We have evolved from that world where we have a website which is instantly driven and changes dynamically. Why to send an MB or 10 MB of update to some devices? So this is how we are evolving. So softwares came into mobile because mobiles became smart pretty late. But eventually you would see every application running directly from the web app, from the website. You don't need an application to be installed on your device if you want to access a Flipkart or an Amazon, right? So, but it does the same job. There's a shortcut on your screen. You click on that and it does the job. So this is how it is. I see websites as a different medium. All these devices are a different medium of a website serving content to you. Okay, so I was answering this one, which is what are interaction designs? Can you give a few examples? Yeah, so I would be sharing my screen for 2-3 times, I think more. Here it is. Can you guys see a screen which is showing you a accommodation? I'm sure you do. Yeah. Okay. So these are our very low fidelity mockups. This is how I would want to term these, because this looks like a typical example of how a homestays app would be. When I click on add, this is a PDF file. It's not a web page. It's just an image or multiple images combined to build a PDF. When I click on add a homestay on a PDF, I reach to another page which is bookmarked. I can get a feel of how this would work. Okay, I'm adding a new homestay. What type of place do you have for homestays? Okay, I have an apartment. If I click on apartment, it moves to the next screen. Select an accommodation type. What type of accommodation do I have? I have an entire apartment. Locate your property. This is what is happening. The interactions are real. This is very I would say 80% optimized. They can be interactions like you have a slide feel, transition from left to right, or maybe fade in, fade out. All those things can come into action. So this is a typical interaction design example in which you're building interactions between different layouts. Now, these layouts themselves can be wireframes, can be smart designs, can be actual, coded web pages. Why not? What you're building through them is are interactions, linking them together. This is what an interaction, is. And when you design from for the purpose of giving better experience, it becomes a structural interaction design methodology. You design with journey. Let's say in this standard structure, I could have probably placed what type of homestays do you have, and the next one location on a single page. Well, the interactions on mobile device are tap, 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 and you go on to the next screen. So why to make people scroll the screen? You can just tap and then you can move to the next screen. This is what typical methodology of interaction design looks like. Okay, yes, one more to go. Please explain the concept of wireframe in detail and the 3 types of fidelity associated with them. I think the last one was pretty relevant. Okay, what you just saw here is a wireframe on the previous screen. It was a wireframe which was mostly nothing but the boxes, but a bit of colors. I would still want to term it as wireframe. This wireframe can look much more neater. A web page can become much more, color friendly. Buttons can have depth. The fonts can be awesome, and that's the second level, which you call a mockup or a design. Then there are interactions, which is your high fidelity prototype. It's like you have the interactions in place and you have the designs, actual looking layouts in place, and then you stitch them together. So yeah, this is what are the 3 stages. If you have any questions related to that, please shoot out.
Hi, Siddharth.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, there is a question from Ismail. He is asking about type of network.
Okay, I didn't get the question. If Ismail can you unmute Ismail? Can I talk to him?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Ismail, can you just type in your question if I cannot talk to you?
Ismail?
Oh, you thought CDN as network. Okay, no, yes, content delivery network. And network necessarily does not mean it serves the internet. It's just like, you have a group of computers serving the same content globally. That's what a very literal translation of the definition would be.
Right. There is another question by Abhinav, and he is asking about elements of web app.
Yeah, so I read it somewhere. Elements of web app. Can you be more specific about what you really want to know in that?
Hello, Abhinav.
Or would you want me to be take it through completely? I mean, like I did on the web lecture. Okay, I'll just give you a brief if you are there, and
Sure.
for everyone's understanding, I'll just share an Amazon website screen. Let me open that. Okay. Can you see the Amazon website? Okay. See, this is a web layout. We all know Amazon. I assume if we are into brand, session. So Amazon itself follows the same structure and like everyone else does. The topmost section which you see. So let's talk about the front end visible ones. The topmost section which you see is called a header. Uh, it has a logo and probably some of the top navigating links. This is the top website. It's bottommost part of the web page is called a footer. I would say the footer would start right below back to top, which is called which is the entire gray blue section, and the darker one at the bottom, which is having important links that it's global websites I mean linked to. There are other sections which talks about the other attributes of this band. The Okay, let's go back up. The first header itself has a search section, which is also nothing but a very important element of the website. Then there are multiple sections. So we covered header, we covered logo. Then there is this website does not follow a typical hero image, but at the background you see Amazon pantry ad, and behind that there's a web page. There's an image. So this image is typically, you can say, a hero image. Mostly, it is somewhere here. Okay, I'll just try to open that if I can. I can. So the background image which you see, it is this. This is the hero image, as we people generally call. It's the most it's the first banner which everyone tries to see on your page, and then gets a feel and gets more immersive experience. Yeah. Okay. So Abhinav, I think these are the important sections. Viewport is something which you see on the first view of your of the website. What I see right here is a section which is having the recently viewed Prime exclusive Amazon jackpot. This is what my first screen looks like, and this is the first viewport. Okay, now move to the let's move to the other thing, which is called hooks concept. Uh, any specific question regarding hooks concept, which you would want me to answer, or is there would you want to know the entire thing? Yeah, Abhinav, can you respond to this?
Yeah, he wants to know with example.
Okay. Let me. So I'm not sure if I. If I remember right, I did talk to you about uh, Quora as an example in my on my session, which is a fantastic example. Uh, Let me try to take some other example here. Uh, you always remember the four stages of what a Hooks framework is. Those are the standard, model how Hooks framework works. But okay, let's take an example. So LinkedIn would be a similar one. What else can we take? Let me try to take an example of a offline word. Maybe that would help everyone. So see, if I am interested in buying a shoe, what would I generally do? My first thing would be, how to. There would be some initiation, some trigger, which would be probably external or internal. External, like it might be because someone else is. I really need it, or maybe someone else has. I've seen some of the shoe and I would want to, go for it. So that it tells to my head that yeah, I really want to buy a shoe. The next action is I go to a shop which is the nearby shoe shop. Maybe I go to that, I buy a shoe. What the shoe shopkeeper tells me is that if you buy once, and you're the first customer, probably I will give you a reward of 500 points, which you can redeem as cash in the next booking. That's the kind of reward. Or maybe something like I was attended very nicely. That's also a reward. That guy showed me all the kind of comfortable shoes that I would want to, but I somehow did not decide. And this is how I would initiate the entire interaction with someone. And uh, yeah, then what? Then I would be try to browse it more further, see the store, and then next time when I come back home, maybe then there is an internal trigger itself that yeah, I went to the website last time and it's sorry, I went to that store and they treated me nicely. Why not try them again? So it's like you are building a habit of me to visit your store by maybe offering me something, a sort of a reward, or maybe by uh, treating me nicely. This is how you are creating different hooks in the entire journey. So this is what a typical hooks framework on an offline industry does. The initiation is very important. If you get the customer to your website, try to create as much hooks as possible so that he can return to you next time for a more better experience. And then the cycle continues, and then you can probably create a habit out of it.
Thank you, Siddharth. The next question is by Pankaj, and he is asking about prototyping.
Yeah, Pankaj. So I did explain a couple of minutes back about how prototyping happens. Uh, there are so let's say if you want to design a web page which is nothing but a profile of the entire journey of Pankaj from his birth till date. You need a timeline. So what you can think of is some maybe a horizontal timeline talking about some uh, uh, years on a horizontal line. So this is something comes into mind. This is how you start your thought process around the objective. Maybe a vertical line. Facebook does it. It shows your entire timeline on a vertical view. So this is what my thought is. Now let's try to take a pen and paper and then try to build a complete uh, sort of such kind of view. So if I have this straight line, I put multiple things in place, years, and then I can see, yeah, on this is what I did, and then this is here what I did. this is, and then probably now whose profile it is. So probably I can keep this as my name or my logo or my initials, and I can probably keep my name here, and say something like connect with me. All these things, elements start coming to your head when you try to build a web page which talks about the timeline or your journey so far. So this is how you start, and you already have a very basic wireframing penciled layout right in front of you. So you write a couple of notes here. You maybe decide other things about me, connect with me, my email ID, and other things on the footer side. You don't need a header. This itself is a header for me now. And this is a good enough layout. This tells me multiple things about how and what I became on year 1, year 2, and then subsequently. So this is what my typical example of a wireframe looks like. And then subsequently, I would give it to some of my designer, or maybe ask some other members to collaborate and tell me, yeah, how can I link other things, other informations, and show things here. Maybe this logo should be squarish in nature, or how this timeline will not be nicely visible on a mobile device because we don't have horizontal scrolls. So some of my friends says, no, let's not do that. So let's completely remove it. You need a timeline which is vertical in nature. Okay, so here's a suggestion. Now I got a vertical tree and someone can scroll and see my entire journey, but you don't have a space to show my face and logo. So probably I need a fixed section on top. Here I can keep my face and I can type in my name here, and this is my journey, and I can scroll it. This is how you are building multiple variations of a single wireframe, and then eventually you agree to something, and then or maybe build both the kind of layouts. Try to play around with with those designs on your mobile, and eventually make some similar pages, other pages, which you can call as a high fidelity designs, or the actual looking screens, and then you stitch them together with some transition or some interactions. And then here you go. You have a full high fidelity prototype, a prototype which will tell your business people, or which tell the customers that this is the brand that I have. When you access it digitally, it tells you about me, and it's pretty simple. You can just scroll it up and then gives you the entire timeline. Once everyone agrees to that, then you give it to code. So this is what a prototype means, and then you get the actual result. I hope I'm able to answer your question.
Guys, are there any other doubts?
I can't access the quiz 2.4, but there was a question there regarding sensitive information provided by users, and which team is supposed to take care of that. I answered security, but that was wrong. Whereas generally in a company, security would have to be handling sensitive user information, right?
Okay. Let me just go through that. Can you just repeat the question, which was maybe the exact one?
Quiz 2.4.
Okay.
Quiz topic 2, not topic. Session 2.4. Okay. 2.4.1, and that's about, if I remember correctly.
Which team is responsible for the sensitive data of users? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. There was a question there.
Yeah.
Regarding, sorry, 1 second, let me just, implementing team. And it was talking about the team that is supposed to handle sensitive user information, which is basically their personal data, right?
Right.
Personal information, right? So, and the options were, I think,
I got it. Okay.
Data
so
houseware.
I have the access. So probably you're referring to which team is responsible for the sensitive data of users, right?
Yeah.
The answers are security team, marketing team, data warehouse team, and all of the above. And what did you answer?
I answered security.
Oh, okay. So security is not wrong, but with the with the context of sensitive data of users, the answer would be all of the above. Yeah. Okay. So let me double click on that. Okay. Uh, you might be aware of, how the privacy policies in the world work, right? Every company has a privacy policy, and every brand has a
Yeah.
privacy policy digitally. Uh, this privacy policy globally extends to multiple regulations. One of them is probably GDPR. Might have heard of it.
Yes, yes.
Right. So GDPR says that it's a law on data protection, and privacy. It says that every individual and every bit of data that can collectively, reach to me, every bit of such data that can collectively reach to me as a user is supposed to be protected. So let's say if I asked you, which city do you live in? Uh, or okay, which city? I mean, that can be any city. Okay, it can be Delhi, but Delhi can have a lot of people with the same name. I mean, you don't even know. But yes, it
Yeah.
does filter and makes the people reach out to you. Somewhere it filters down from the entire world population to only Delhi population. So it is making people reach you. This is what GDPR means. So while I'm going to the actual answer of this, so every organization now believes that you have a security team which is helping you, your brand, protect your brand from the external threats, or maybe some people who are trying to internally access some information which is not required. But at the same time, your marketing team has lot of data which might not have the name or the email ID, but the data is termed as sensitive data. It can have the customers, the top 10 customers transactions in last 10 months and their last name. That's the sensitive data. It can help me. It can help anyone if it has another data report which is like all the people who are having and their transactions and their names. If someone else has that data, I mean, they can easily match both the sheets and probably reach to me and probably find my last name if they have the
Right.
exact, right. So these both are termed as sensitive data. Well, the marketing team can have that data. Data warehouse team definitely has all the data access
Right.
of the
Right.
organization, right? Hence,
Got it.
the
Got it.
responsibility of all such privacy-related information lies with the entire organization, and that is becoming a standard across all the companies. I mean, Facebook and Google are now recently sued for that. So yes, the
Right.
answer
Right.
must be all of the above.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Thank you, Siddharth. There is another question by Ismail, and he is
Okay.
asking, what is Apple's design for user experience?
Okay. So I would say the question is slightly incomplete. I did not get Apple's design for user experience. You are you referring to how do they design for user experience? Okay, I don't know. That's the straight answer. How would I know how Apple designs for user experience? But I'm pretty sure they do a fantastic job. Probably they have a lot of design and research teams in-house, and probably they design for a very specific set of users, not for everyone. So maybe they have people whom they can run their usability tests, and they would definitely follow the same guidelines, but in more comprehensive way for a very specific segment of users.
Hello. Are there any more questions?
I think someone's pinging. Kriti, can you just post your question here? I would see if I can answer that.
Kirti, are you able to hear us?
Aditi? Hello.
Hello.
Aditi. So is this Aditi?
No, it's not Aditi.
Okay,
Okay.
right. Anyways, I got a notification saying that the topics have been updated. Does that mean there's further we have to these topics again or not?
Sorry, your voice is not clear.
I- Topics have been updated.
Please post your question over in the like chat box.
I'm sorry.
Siddharth, we have a question by Kirti, and she is saying Gestalt principle through real life example.
Okay. How do I answer it on a real life? Okay, let me try to attempt on this principle. So see, there are multiple Gestalt principles which apply to user design, and I mean there's no. So it's more of a psychology understanding of how human psychology works, but while for the simplicity of the course, we did cover only three or four probably different types of principles. Let me try to get a brief of how it would work in a real life example. Uh, Essentially, there are five major subdivisions of the principles, but let's go a more elaborative way. If you have uh, a ground full of 100 people, and you know uh, one is having a dress code as red, while the other one is having a dress code as blue, and you separate and you make them stand in a sequence and all red and then all blue. Once you look at them through top, you would be able to identify that these are two different groups of people, on that same same ground. This is what proximity means. You tell it to by your visual or maybe your themes, using the colors and the shapes in place, which can tell it to people that we belong to the same group, and this is what proximity tells you. Let's talk the other one, which is common fate. Uh, Again, the same 100 people, 30 moving in direction north, 20 moving towards south, or maybe looking towards south. These are group of people out of 50. You can clearly identify, out of 100, you can clearly identify that 50 are there, nowhere looking nowhere, while the other two are stepping towards two other directions. So you can easily relate to these behavioral aspects, and say that okay, these 20 are somewhere moving to south, and probably they're looking for something. Okay, yeah. So this is what common fate means. I mean, they are directioning in themselves into one probably one side. If I take an example of a web page, uh, if you search from a home page, you see the search bar on Amazon homepage. It looks right there on the top, and while you see the same thing on your mobile device details page, you see the same thing. I mean, right there that you did an interaction previously on the home page. It had some meaning. It directioned me here. So if I do the same thing on this page, I'll probably reach again here. So this is how you're teaching your customers. Similarity. Similarity is, again, I did not. I mean, it's more, closer to proximity. But let's try to double click on similarity for that matter. Uh, so okay. Uh, yeah. Okay. So I have a web page which is having okay. Let's take Paytm for that example. Paytm has multiple product solutionings. So while its hotels workflow, it tells you makes you go through the results of all the hotels in a very vertical, one hotel at a time view, while its product page, which is their e-commerce page, works in a very different manner. So when you see through them, the shapes and sizes of each element are very different. So yes, you can, without even reading the entire page, you can get to know that, okay, somewhere it looks like a search results page to me, while the other one looks like maybe a mobile device list page. So that's a very different thing, because mobile device would have a image and just the name and probably the price against it, while the hotel would have a location and probably a rating and a couple of more things. So this is how you build things which tell the same story, and try to teach you that they belong to same or similar characteristics, yeah, visually. Then okay, closure. Closure is something which is so if I somewhere, if I, let's say the example of university, right? If I type a spelling of it, which is like somewhere like can I type here? I can. Okay. No, I cannot type here. Okay, I can.
Can type.
Yeah. These two spellings are incorrect, but you get the meaning. At the same time, if I make a shape, I think I cannot move out of this typing mode. Trying to build a shape here. Okay, what you see here is a triangle with a straight line. Well, this triangle is not actually a triangle. It can be a very different shape altogether. It can be sort of this layout, and this can be maybe some other kind of maybe a circle or something, yeah, something of this sort. So it was not a triangle initially, but when you look through the half picture, you perceive a very different meaning. So it's like our brain directly tries to absorb such kind of patterns and close the shapes which are easier for us to understand. So this is what a closure means. I mean, you should try, your design element should tell this to your customers that whenever you see such kind of element, it literally means this. Whether even if it is incomplete or parts of it are not closed, it should be recognizable. Okay, symmetry is something you already know. I mean, a web page which is having a web page like Amazon, which is having 4 different sections, which I talked about. They both are having different meanings, different images, different text arranged, but they are symmetrical in nature. So I mean, text tells me that this entire thing belongs to a one single stack, and they look more nicer. So these are the couple of top principles which are I mean, you would never or rarely be using them in your actual visual design. I would recommend you to go for more iterative in nature and see how people respond to your web pages. Then going on the theoretical part and trying to read those principles and apply. Go for more of a try and test method. See how people respond to it, and usability would give you better responses to all such things. Kriti had another question: understanding the front end and back end of a web design, how it helps a digital marketer and an application and the application in the real job scenario. I think this is probably the last question, but it's a very important one. And from a digital marketing perspective, this should be the most important one. let me share the screen for one more time. I'm gonna share. Okay, I'll answer to that as well. Can a person from non-technical background be a good digital marketer? Of course, yes. That's what this module talks to you about. Can you see the Amazon homepage? I'm sure yes. Okay, I'll just try to debug this. Or let's go to Yatra because I know it much more. So I'm sure you have gone through the elements of web design on the backend, and I mean the one which are on the background. I would want to talk to you about some tracking pixels and elements which are not visible. Why it would be? Sorry, my screen sharing got. Let me share the entire screen. Okay. Yeah. Can you see my screens now? Yes, you can. So let's go to this this yatra.com website. If I browse through you, these are all buttons, right? When I click on each of these elements, you are responsible for building a better brand experience and getting each of these business units equal, maybe traffic or user. You would want to track if I put trains on first. Does it really matters? And this is an ad space. This is in partnership with at the moment with SBI. I can place another another offer here, or maybe give this space to some third party. Here's a banner which is of a package. So all these are all real estate on your web page, and they can help you earn money. You can put a banner of some other website. You can get partnership done with some bank which provides some loans for holidays. That can be here. How would you track? People are even clicking on it or not. This is all data. You got to tell them that okay, there are hundreds of people coming on my page, but on trains or probably holidays there are 20% of people going in. So why not you place a banner here, and there can be deal, right? So the digital marketer thinks about all these aspects and then tries to capture data. How would you capture the data is a very important stream. So let's say if I am on the flights page, and if I decide to click on holidays, here I go. When I click on holidays, this is an event which is sent at the background. I mean, for a consumer, nothing happened, but for a digital marketer, this interaction got tracked as someone from homepage on the booking engine clicked on holidays tab. I know that there is someone who is trying to look into holidays, so I can track it. But from a consumer perspective, nothing happened. So this is a digital marketer relevant data, and this is how you should look into whenever you try to approach a brand. Whether what are the things and elements can I track, and can I keep control? All these are tracking pixels which you would study in some of your module, and we talked about it the same in our own module as well. So this is what digital marketer does, and one of the aspect which is relevant for all of us. I mean, for digital marketers. I mean, I visited this page previously, but it has New Delhi and Mumbai and the date already filled. How does it yatra.com, which I just browse again, know that I was interested into? This is an information which is saved on your web page. It can be done by browser as well. It can be done by Yatra itself by saving some bit of information on your browser, telling the customers that okay, you were looking for this. I am helping you out fill the entire form again. So all these aspects, all these aspects are helping you understand digital marketing from a better perspective. Okay, I think that's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Siddharth, for connecting with us and helping us to clarify all our doubts. Is there any other experience or example you would like to share related to today's topic?
No, nothing for now. I think we are sorted. If anyone has any question, please help them reach out to me.
Yeah, sure. Guys, any more doubts? Please post your questions if you have any other doubts. It seems there are no more questions.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hope you guys have no more doubts. All the best for the further module. If you guys have any kind of doubts related to any topic, feel free to connect with me on the discussion forum. Thank you, guys.